Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're going to be doing the exhaust and attaching some small accessories to my 1950s Willys pickup truck. Alright, so to do this exhaust, we're going to start with that right out the gate and try to knock that out, and then we'll do that at the end of the video. We'll finish up all of those small little accessory pieces that we got to mount, like the high lift, the max tracks, and things like that, which you guys will all see here in a second. To do this exhaust, what we're going to be using is just some cheap Summit Racing mufflers. Here is one of them here. These are 2¼ inch inlet and 2¼ inch outlet, which is the size of exhaust that was already on this truck, roughly between 2¼ or 2½. I'm just going to run straight 2¼ throughout the whole thing, and these are just the Summit version of the Flowmaster mufflers, but they're much cheaper. These are only like $25 or $26 per. I picked up 2 of these guys, and I picked up about 16 feet of 2¼ inch exhaust tubing, and then a couple 45-degree mandrel bends, and we're going to use all of that to make this exhaust system. Should be pretty quick, simple little project, but let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, so I'm underneath the truck now. I'm going to show you guys what I have for the passenger side exhaust. I've not yet figured out how I want to route the driver's side, but I figured I'll get the passenger side done, and then I'll figure out how to do the driver's side after that. But here's what the passenger side looks like. So up there, we have the original exhaust manifold there, and then a small portion of the original exhaust tubing that is sitting right there. I'm going to connect this 45-degree new 2¼ inch piece to that 2-inch piece right there, and then run 2¼ inch pipe down past the motor to the muffler there, and then out to the back. This will obviously be sucked up closer to the truck once I get the hangers installed and get the whole thing fully welded. That's just kind of a generic layout of where it's going to go. On the driver's side, I've got a similar issue. I've got just a little bit of the old exhaust there that I would like to mate to, and then I've got to push it down and go back the same way. The problem is the transfer case is in the way of where I ran the passenger side, so I got to figure out either to go underneath the motor cross member and then down like that, maybe try to cross it over here. I don't know yet.
Alright, so with that kind of sorted, I'm going to pull that exhaust off the way that it's currently sitting. I'm going to fully weld all of the different connections up to where it's at now, put it back in place, and then weld that last little bit around the exhaust manifold. I cannot get those exhaust manifold bolts off, so I'm going to have to weld it on the vehicle. It's not ideal, but it'll work. Again, this isn't perfect. It's going to probably have some small exhaust leaks, but it's not a big deal. Let's get that exhaust off, get it on the welding table, and start welding. Alright, so I just finished getting the exhaust underneath the truck. I'm going to be honest, I'll show you guys it in a second. It is not my best work. The exhaust did not route properly to get around all the other components. When I originally built the frame of the truck and I mounted all the drivetrain and all that kind of stuff, I did not do any accounting for the 2-inch exhaust tubing, and so I had almost nowhere to run this exhaust cleanly to get it out to the back of the truck where I wanted to put it. It's not a great solution, but it does work, and so it is what it is. I'm not super happy with the work though, so bear that in mind as I show you guys what this looks like. But let's go take a look at this, and then we'll talk about what comes next. Alright, so up here you can see the original OEM exhaust manifold connected to some of that tube there, which then runs down underneath the truck. And you can see the same thing on this side going down underneath the truck. I did decide to keep the original exhaust manifolds just because I did not want to spend any more money on headers or anything like that. So I kept the original exhaust manifolds and I just made the new tube work into the existing infrastructure. That is some of the stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. Those welds do not turn out very good, and it's kind of hard to weld that old rusted metal, and so that's not a great fit, but I didn't want to pay more money for headers for a truck like this. Anyways, let's see what's underneath the truck. So coming underneath it, you can see where the two exhaust tubes dump out on the sides of the motor, and then they run straight back along it. On the driver's side, there was absolutely no room because of the transfer case, so this one runs below the cross member, and on the passenger side, that one runs above the cross member to go back to the mufflers. We got each of those Summit Racing mufflers there, and then we push them back to where the exhaust ends. This one's already cut to the right length, as you can see, and I've still got to cut that one down to the right length over there so that it does not hit the back axle of the truck. But that's what that looks like. I did have to do some sketchy stuff up here, as you guys saw. I notched this, cut it, re-welded it to get it to bend up to get to the right angle here, and then it's already got a few battle scars, but not a big deal. And I got to cut the hangers down so they're the right length as well, as you can see. All right, so real quick, what I'm going to do next is cut that exhaust to length and cut the two hangers down so they're the right length as well, and then we're going to move on to the next project. The first thing we're going to do, I've got a Harbor Freight trailer box sitting right here on one of the cross members. It's not permanently affixed yet. I'm going to suck that trailer box back towards this rear cross member here, and then we're going to tie it down and mount it onto this. I'm going to have to make a couple more little vertical pieces to get this box to fit, and it's going to sit right here. I'm choosing to use just a cheap Harbor Freight trailer box for this. I wanted to have some storage in the back of the truck so I could throw like the winch controller or recovery equipment, things like that back here. I didn't want to build a full deck because I don't think this truck needs it, and so I decided to use this little $100 trailer box instead. I've got the same box on my actual car trailer, and it serves the exact same purpose. They work plenty well enough, so it should be an easy little project to get that mounted. After that, we've got to find a place to mount these max tracks to. These are just going to be used, obviously, when I get stuck in mud or something to help me recover from there. So I got to find a place to mount those. And then we got to build a mount and mount the high lift jack as well, which is sitting on top here. So a couple more little quick projects that we're going to try to knock out today. Anyways, I'm going to cut this exhaust down, and then we'll figure out how the rest of the stuff's going to look. To make the cross member here, the vertical cross member is going between the Willys logo and the next closest ladder bar. I'm just using some scrap. I think this is 3" by 3/16 inch angle iron. I don't remember where I got it from. It was sitting on my wall, so I had enough of it to do these two cross members, so I'm going to use this. This should give enough bite that I can run bolts through this to bolt that box down to, and I'll probably do some tack welds as well just to really hold it into place because I'm not really ever going to remove it. I already got one of the bars in place here, as you can see, so I'm going to go clean this one up real quick, and then we're going to weld it up and then mount that box. Pretty easy. Alright, so that was pretty easy. I ended up just welding it on. I didn't feel like drilling holes, so welded it on. It's not going to go anywhere. As you saw when I opened it, I did forget to take the piece of paper that came in the box out of the box, and it might have caught fire, but whatever. Anyways, moving on. I think we'll mount the max tracks next. Got to find a place for those, and the high lift. So let me play around with it for a minute, and I will catch back up with you guys when I know what the plan is. Alright, so this is going to have to be the end of the video and the end of the weekend for me. I am all out of time this weekend to work, but we got a lot done. I'm not super happy with the exhaust, but everything else worked out perfectly, and I'm super happy with where the Willys currently is. Let me show you guys what the Willys looks like right now, because there's some other stuff I did off camera, and then I'll talk about what comes next in the next video. Alright, starting here in the front, you can see we do have the Badlands 12,000 ZXR winch mounted up on that winch plate that we made, all finished up. I got to mount the solenoid and run some wires and stuff. That's why the manual is up there, so I don't forget it. But we got that mounted. You guys have seen all the lights before. I have the new Holley carburetor sitting right there, ready to get everything else installed once I get the right nuts for the top of those studs. We do have those shocks mounted. We got some wires from the winch going, a bunch of little stuff. We painted all these springs here. We painted down here the steering linkages and the axles and the diff cover. The steering linkages and the diff cover are both blue to match the truck, and then everything else is black to match the rest of the truck. So you can see that's looking nice. We got all of that done. We of course added about 30 more horsepower here with a couple of stickers. Those match on both sides. There's the interior, a couple more stickers. Got the radiator. We mounted that high jack lift today. That's just bolted in using some 3/8" bolts welded onto the top of the tubes, and then some wing nuts like that to secure the high lift into place so that you can take it off by hand on the trail and not need any tools. Painted the back axle as well with a little bit of blue paint on the diff to match everything. And don't tell Matt, but I also painted the rims blue. I wanted it all to match. He asked me to leave the rims red, and I changed my mind. On this side, we do have the mud boards mounted as well. We used a couple of these little spacers here, which came in the kit, to mount those, mounted through the skin of the back of the Jeep, like so. Alright, so we got a ton of stuff done. I'm super happy with the progress of this Willys, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to finish it up in the next couple of weeks, which makes me super happy, because then I can bring that boat that I got a few weeks ago into the garage and start working on it. I will probably do videos on the boat. It's going to need a little bit of motor work and some other stuff, and I think it'll just be fun to do some videos on it. It'll be a pretty quick project, bringing that boat back to life. Anyways, we got this all finished up for the day. We got a lot of little stuff done, and we got the exhaust ran, which was obviously huge. Coming up next, we've got brake and fuel. They'll probably end up being the same video, so we'll run the brake lines and we'll also run the fuel lines as well, running to that new Holley carburetor that we got on the top of that 351 Windsor. After that, then we've got the beast that is going to be wiring. I'm not super excited about wiring because I've never wired an automatic transmission before, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to figure it out all together, so it should be a good time for that. So we got probably 2 more of those kind of videos. Finishing up this, we'll have to make drive shafts, and then I gotta do some fun stuff with the doors. So we still got quite a few things left to do on this truck, but we are making really good progress, and I'm super happy with where we stand right now. I hope you guys like this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.